There's a kind of quiet that wraps around you like a warm blanket, like the stillness of a mountain meadow at sunrise. Then there's the other kind, the suffocating hush of a suburban cul-de-sac where a single weed is a declaration of rebellion. I lived in the second kind, in a place called Willow Creek Meadows, a meticulously curated slice of American perfection where every house was painted in one of three approved hues: subtle sand, muted mocha, or, my personal favorite, defiant dune. The lawns were clipped to a uniform half-inch, and the mailboxes stood like soldiers on parade. I'm Jack Harper, a 52-year-old paramedic by trade and a volunteer with the county's wilderness rescue team by passion. My days are spent wrestling with the raw chaos of human emergencies, heart attacks, car wrecks, the occasional bar fight gone wrong. My nights, when I'm lucky, are spent rappelling into ravines or slogging through marshes to find lost hikers. So why did I buy a house in a neighborhood where the gravest crisis was a garden gnome placed an inch too close to the sidewalk? Simple. It was a steal, and it sat on the edge of the Blackthorn Marsh, the very wilderness where I did most of my rescue work. On paper, it was perfect. In reality, it was like caging a grizzly in a petting zoo. I'd just staggered home from a brutal 24-hour shift, my back aching like I'd been hauling cinder blocks, my uniform reeking of antiseptic and sweat. All I wanted was a cold beer and a dark room. But as I pulled my battered Ford pickup into my driveway, a vehicle that screamed, "I have better things to spend money on," in a neighborhood obsessed with gleaming SUVs, I saw it. Not a bill, not a package, but a pristine ivory envelope taped dead center on my front door. It was heavy, expensive paper, radiating authority like a court summons. I knew, with the bone-deep certainty of a man who's seen too many disasters, that this was from the Willow Creek Meadows Homeowners Association. Inside was a letter, typed in a font so stern it could have been called commanding Helvetica. It informed me, Jack Harper of 214, Sycamore Drive, that I'd committed a heinous crime, pouring a concrete slab in my backyard without permission. This, apparently, violated HOA Rule 68, Section B, Paragraph 4, which demanded pre-approval for any structure, from sheds to birdhouses. I was ordered to stop all work, submit a proposal, and await judgment. Signed, Margaret Walsh, president of the Willow Creek Meadows HOA and chair of the Design Oversight Board. I muttered her name to the empty air, picturing a woman who probably measured her neighbor's hedges with a laser. I'd heard whispers about her from my one friendly neighbor, a laid-back retiree named Tom. He spoke of Margaret like she was a force of nature, part dictator, part suburban deity. I glanced at the slab in my backyard, a modest foundation for a shed to house my rescue gear. $60,000 worth of county-owned radios, medical kits, and climbing ropes I needed to keep safe from the next hurricane. Exhausted, I crumpled the letter, tossed it into the trash, and decided this was a problem for Tomorrow Jack. Tomorrow Jack had coffee and a spine. Tonight Jack was done. Morning brought clarity and regret. As I sipped my second cup of coffee, a rattling Chevy truck pulled up, carrying my contractors, Mike and Pete. Mike was a human tornado, all fast talk and wild gestures, while Pete was a silent giant who moved like he was conserving energy for the apocalypse. Ready to build this fortress? Mike bellowed, slapping my shoulder. I handed him the salvaged letter and explained the HOA's decree. Mike whistled. Design Oversight Board? That's code for we hate fun. But a shed for emergency gear? That's got to be exempt. I shook my head. Not to Margaret Walsh. Pete, staring at a neighbor's perfectly aligned lawn flamingos, grunted, Flamingos. Bet they're not approved either. Just as Mike unloaded lumber, a sleek black golf cart hummed to a stop at my curb. There she was, Margaret Walsh, clipboard in hand, visor low, exuding the kind of authority that could make a general flinch. I plastered on a smile and strolled over. Morning. Lovely day for policing grass length, isn't it? Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned me, my contractors, and the slab. I'm Margaret Walsh, HOA president, she said, voice like a blade. This project is unapproved. Cease immediately. I tried reason. It's not a gazebo, Margaret. I'm with County Rescue. This shed's for life-saving equipment. Public safety, you know. She scoffed, a sound like cracking ice. The rules protect our community's value. Unapproved structures are eyesores. You'll be fined daily. I gestured at the bare slab. It's not even built. She didn't blink. Its potential to offend is enough. With that, she glided away, leaving me steaming. I tried diplomacy next, spending hours on a proposal, blueprints for an 8 by 12 shed, a list of hurricane-proof materials, and a letter from my rescue captain, Ed, stressing the gear's importance. At the HOA meeting, held in a community room that smelled of despair and burnt coffee, I faced Margaret and her lackeys, Timid Ted and Jittery Jane. The meeting was a circus of pettiness, 45 minutes on whether a resident's teal shutters were too bold. When my turn came, I laid out my case like a lawyer, reading Ed's letter with gravitas. Silence followed. Margaret, without glancing at my papers, said, "Rules are rules, Mr. Harper. Exceptions breed chaos. What's next? Food trucks and driveways." I snapped. "So you'd rather someone die in the marsh than let me store gear in a shed that matches your precious color palette?" The room gasped. Margaret's gavel slammed. "Proposal denied. Fine $150 daily, plus $50 for disrespect." I stormed out, diplomacy dead. If Margaret wanted war, I'd give her one. I called Mike. "Build it. Full speed." He laughed. "We're framing this shed with spite." Every morning, a new ivory envelope arrived with a fine. Mike and Pete taped them to their truck's dashboard, joking about funding Margaret's next vacation. The shed rose fast, a sturdy beacon of defiance. Neighbors took sides. Tom left whiskey on my porch. Others avoided me like I had the plague. Margaret watched from her golf cart, snapping photos, her obsession growing. When the shed was done, I painted it muted mocha, HOA approved, a sarcastic peace offering. Mike admired it. "This thing could survive Armageddon." Pete nodded. "Needs a flag." I moved my gear in under Margaret's watchful eye, unpacking medical kits, radios, and ropes on my lawn for effect. She peered through binoculars from her window. I waved cheerfully. Her curtains snapped shut. The shed was perfect, organized, secure, ready for any crisis. What could go wrong? Everything, apparently. That evening, with a tropical storm brewing, I returned from errands to find my shed chained shut with a greasy industrial chain and a padlock the size of a grapefruit. A sign screamed, "Seized by Willow Creek Meadows HOA for violations. Hazardous materials, unauthorized structure." Margaret stood nearby, arms crossed, triumphant. A scrawny security guard, Kyle, fidgeted beside her. My groceries hit the ground, oranges rolling. "Margaret, what is this?" She smirked. "Consequences, Mr. Harper. You stored dangerous items, flares, gas canisters. It's a threat." I stepped closer. "You've locked up county property. That's a felony. Unlock it now." She laughed. "See you at the hearing." Then my rescue pager blared. Priority alert. Blackthorn Marsh. Missing couple, one teenager. Storm imminent. My heart stopped. My gear, radios, ropes, medical kits was trapped behind Margaret's lock. I called her, voice steel. "A family's missing. Unlock the shed." She was ice. "The HOA isn't your personal service. Use other resources." She hung up. Rage boiled, but duty took over. I called dispatch. "Rescue 9, Jack Harper." My gears locked by my HOA president. Silence, then, "Repeat that." I did. The line switched to Sheriff Dan Carter, a grizzled veteran I'd worked with on grim searches. "Jack, give me her name." I did, "Margaret Walsh." His voice dropped. "Stay put. Unit's coming." 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, a roar shook the street, not a patrol car, but a 12-ton armored MRAP, a beast of black steel that dwarfed the cul-de-sac. It screeched to a halt, engine growling. Margaret's clipboard hit the ground, her face drained of color. 5 deputies in tactical gear spilled out, followed by Officer Lopez, holding bolt cutters like a medieval weapon. "Jack," Lopez said, "Sheriff says you're late for work." In the backyard, he eyed the chain. Margaret shrieked, "This is outrageous. I'm in charge here." Lopez didn't flinch. "Ma'am, you're obstructing an emergency. That's a felony. Go call your lawyer." Snap, the chain fell. I dove into the shed, grabbing gear as deputies helped load my truck. I drove off, tires chewing my lawn, glancing back to see Lopez handing